Film writer, director, and producer Judd Apatow is best known for making really funny movies with really funny people, so it's no surprise he interjects a lot of his less-than-romantic comedy flair into the Netflix show Love.
I'm Mickey.
I'm Gus.
Apatow co-created the show alongside Leslie Arfin and Paul Rust, who also stars in the show alongside Gillian Jacobs, as their characters' clashing personalities tiptoe through romance together in a way that's foreign to both of them. Love was a part of Netflix's initial boom of original content, and it also got chopped after season 3 as the streaming service tried to find the sweet spot on the supply and demand curve of new shows and movies, but the series got to go out on its own terms, and I'm glad it did, because it had me interested in every episode 2 years after the final season came out.
Thank you for defending my honor.
Love takes a standard romantic comedy series and gives a few tugs to the fabric that helped it be a bit more palatable for fans of cruder humor while still keeping some of the foundation of your average romantic comedy show with an endearing tone. It throws in some strong acting and a simple-to-follow plot that maintains intelligent writing and humor throughout, and that's why I like Love. I was hesitant to watch Love at first because I'm not a big rom-com guy, and I thought that it may just be a more drawn-out version of other Apatow productions like 40-Year-Old Virgin or Knocked Up, but Apatow says he wanted to do something different.
We're talking a lot about how there really wasn't a show that deeply examined a couple.
It does have a similar concept to movies like that, with two contrasting leads that improbably get romantically involved, but the show plays out in a new way. Gus is a shy, nerdy guy from South Dakota, fresh off a serious breakup, and he bumps into Mickey, a drug, alcohol, and sex and love addict whose life is anything but stable.
We're not dead yet, fuckers!
It definitely leans on some standard rom-com ideas, but the show lets the characters feel more human and less rigid than some shows, and the plot moves along in a simple, ho-hum way that makes for easy watching.
Oh shit, really?
Love always feels like it doesn't take itself too seriously in terms of unpacking Gus and Mickey's relationship. The series shows the couple's bright spots and faults in an honest and relatable way. The plot doesn't force the two together, and it's fun to watch Gus and Mickey bounce around trying to figure out how to handle each other's personalities. It's a predictable show with a simple premise, but because of that, it plays both sides of the audience really well.
Watch this!
Jesus Christ!
Mickey is constantly going to meetings for her addictions, and the show doesn't shy away from dramatizing the struggle for her personally or the strain it puts on her relationship, but it also allows the idea to breathe and doesn't put all of its weight into it compared to other issues that come up.
I told Gus that I didn't want to date for a year, and then we had sex in my car.
You're a sex addict, right?
Is that bad?
I feel very mummish right now giving you advice from my bed like this. Stop having sex.
Love gives the romantic fans all of the mushy love scenes and the drawn-out fights, but it stays grounded with a clean story and a lot of funny moments that hold over the comedy fans. Individually, all of the characters have a basic template that they're not glued to. The show trades in manufacturing depth in the plot for more believable interactions that drive the story and keep it from feeling shallow, thanks in large part due to the acting. Jacobs always feels like the perfect fit as Mickey, and she makes it so you're always rooting for her to do the right thing, even if you doubt that she will, like sleeping with her ex after getting into a fight with Gus while he's away for work.
I got it.
Rust fits the mold of Gus really soundly, and he does the opposite of Jacobs, letting you think that Gus will always make the right move before proving he won't, like sleeping with one of the actresses on his show right as he's making headway with Mickey.
Fuck you, you piece of shit.
The supporting roles are just as good, headlined by a bang-up job from Claudia O'Doherty as Birdie, perhaps the nicest human being ever and hilarious in her veiled optimism.
I feel so regal, like the kind of woman who's probably great at dinner parties, but is a bit racist.
Most of the supporting characters are just plain funny, like Mike Mitchell as Randy, Brett Gelman as Dr. Greg, of course Bobby Lee as Truman, and even Apatow's daughter Iris as Arya. They mesh together, play off each other, and find some traction in their roles as the show progresses.
Wow. Didn't see that one coming, Giorgio. Thank you for surprising me.
Even though some of the characters don't grow much over time and the plot stays level over all 3 seasons, one of my favorite parts of Love was watching Mickey change and get better. When she first appears, she feels like a deadbeat narcissist with a loud mouth and really no concern for her health or the livelihood of anybody around her, and then the show slowly chips away those traits until you see her really want to become something more than just impulsive.
My mom always tells me I should date a Midwestern boy because they're really sweet and honest.
Despite a lot of missteps, you see her actively attempt to work through her problems in a healthy way, so she's able to find and retain a type of happiness that she never really had before without sacrificing her individuality. Gus goes about his journey in his own cool way, as he sort of stays as the pushover that can't read the room throughout the whole show, but he slowly gets more and more honest with himself and Mickey about what he wants to be and what he wants to accomplish.
Oh, no, that's cool. Oh, yeah.
On the comedy side of the show, it hits a lot of different buttons. The dialogue has so much smart humor that's executed to a T, the situational setups can be fun, and even the little gags are charming. The show steps in the mud sometimes though, like having a Benny Hill chase scene between Mickey and one of her exes that just feels hackneyed, or Gus not telling Mickey about his ex-fiancée at a wedding.
I'm sorry. My bad. I'll clean it up.
I don't think anybody would watch this show and be blown away, but it almost feels like that's the point. The show is comfortable in its environment and genre, so it adds a sense of endearment just by staying on the rails. That comfort doesn't mean the show was coasting at all, though. In fact, it feels like the choices made for the characters were much more deliberate as the series went along. One instance of this is the fact that Gus never finds out that Mickey cheated on him while he was away for work, and at first, it sort of just feels like an oversight or a loose end.
I'm innocent!
He is innocent! He is! He was just trying to help me get out of here!
Rust said, though, that the writers all decided after ending season 2 with those hookups that Gus was never going to find out, because in real life, people cheat on their significant other and never get caught. In most shows, cheating in a relationship tends to lead to some massive argument with a revolutionary change or decision by one of the partners, but in love, it feels like it's usually small slip-ups or misunderstandings that lead to Gus and Mickey's biggest fights, like when they start getting into it after Mickey gets Gus sick in season 3.
Are you guys fucking with me? No.
The whole writing process seems to play into the idea that while a TV show may only be able to show one emotion directly on a screen at a time, relationships and people don't work that way. So it feels like the show is missing some element, but really it's just not overtly shown or discussed. I like this style because subtlety in writing that still manages not to lose its intent takes a lot of talent, and this show does a great job of finding that sweet spot in a lot of instances.
You guys talk and her fingers move, and then I start talking and her fingers become she's paralyzed or something. It's like, write down my ideas.
Love is not perfect, and it's not groundbreaking in a lot of respects, but it's very easy to appreciate it for what it is. The relatable, honest dive into this couple gives a very relaxed feeling to the audience that makes it a good show to watch whether you're a huge fan of the lovey-dovey stuff or not. It never felt like it was trudging or trying too hard, and it's a show that's just easy to like.
Hey, we're gonna take off, man. You good?
Okay. Bye, buddy.
It was nice to meet you.
All right. Hey,